what we are attempting to do here is about charting the course for the development of our country, informed by the budget of 2018.
And so the process begins. Government, along with its partners, have begun to tackle the major task of preparing the country's fiscal outlook for 2018. With less than 6 months before year end, the Keith Mitchell-led administration is wasting no time in putting the figures together that will guide the growth and development of the state and its people for the next year. The consultative process has begun, where officials from the Ministry of Finance met with key groups and organizations to get their views, suggestions, and feedback that will inform the shaping of the 2018 estimates of revenue and expenditure. The Finance Department will meet with private sector representatives, hotel and tourism officials, civil society, churches, credit unions and banks, partners on the sister isle of Carriacou and Petite Martinique, the youth, and manufacturers, among others.
We look towards your views and ideas to make this 2018 budget document as informed as possible.
The government would normally reach out to us as an association so that we can speak to our position on matters. So this year, with the involvement of the public and us being in the public domain, it makes good sense to happen. So we are quite confident that with the consultation and the continued consultations, we should be able to take the country a little bit further.
This year, we got some meaningful feedback from the private sector. Areas they would like to see improved in terms of what will help their business within the private sector. Most of it were geared towards ease of doing business, decreasing the cost of their doing business, investment in various sectors, priority sectors. We had some meaningful feedback about the poultry sector coming out. Also, government to reconsider some of the taxes that were placed on them to allow them to grow and better create jobs. That was also an issue that came out, unemployment as a problem that we have in the country, and how government can assist in terms of alleviating that problem, and also how the private sector can assist in alleviating that problem.
Prime Minister Mitchell met with his fellow cabinet colleagues alongside department heads in what's called a budget retreat. It's the first step in the budget process. Discussions were held on the homegrown program, the country's economic performance, a review of 2017, and the priorities for 2018. It's evident that the country has been experiencing significant improvements on the economic front, largely because of the Structural Adjustment Program. But the Grenadian leader believes this cannot be the time to revert to old ways or become complacent.
We have to continue to tackle the lingering socioeconomic challenges that stand before us, and that, of course, that undermine our progress if it is not adequately addressed.
Sector consultation was held with representatives from the private sector. An almost packed room benefited finance officials as discussions were fruitful.
We have a lot of farmers. We have the appetite. Let's say, for instance, the poultry sector, we have the appetite to produce. We just don't have the wherewithal, and we don't have the knowledge at points to take that sector to the next level. So what are you, the government, doing to help us, the populace of Grenada, take it to the next level?
We have to assess basically the impact of their suggestions, because it's always a good idea. Well, the private sector will always ask you to ease up on taxation and so on, but you have to consider how it will affect the government fiscal balances, especially since we're just recovering in terms of our exit from the homegrown program. So you have to ensure that your fiscal base isn't eroded. So it is definitely something that in the policy unit we will be analyzing to ensure to what level we can adopt some of the suggestions that they make, and hopefully some of them will make it into the budget.
We have to be strategic about how we allocate resources among the many competing priorities. We also have to be intentional about how we deploy those resources as we strive to improve the socio-economic conditions of our people. Furthermore, we have to be inclusive in our approach and dialogue. In fact, the more inclusive we are, my view is, the more successful we will be.
So what is the focus of government going into the 2018 budget period?
Investment in education and human resource development to address structural adjustments. Supporting the productive sectors to help expand production and exports. Thirdly, promoting small business development through reasoned and appropriate incentives. Fourthly, deepening our ongoing reform agenda to improve the doing business reform. Fifthly, continuing our efforts to promote efficiency through ICT development. We're still too far down on that agenda.
Other priorities include developments in health and social services, as well as further addressing the housing issue facing the country.
Stepping up our efforts to increase productivity and efficiency in the public service. 7, pushing ahead with efforts to promote the development of renewable energy to help diversify our energy mix. And lastly, accelerating our blue growth agenda.
Added to these, government also planned to continue the fight to reinstate pension to state officers. This is the legacy of Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell. As the weeks and months roll ahead, the Ministry of Finance will continue to meet with other sectors of society as they seek to have an inclusive process leading to the 2018 budget. For State of Affairs, I am Abigail McIntyre.